Okay, hello and welcome back everybody. This is David with Fairmere's Rangers, and in this one we're going to be talking about the debug cam, and I'm going to be giving you a review on what my thoughts are on this cam. So let's get down to it, and first of all I'm going to show you how to get it. So let's go ahead and dive into that right now. Okay guys, also don't forget, if you've joined us for the first time, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It is free, and also click that bell as it does notify you of future content. Okay, so let's take a look at where to find the debug cam. First of all, what you do is you just go into your PC, go into your local drive, and mine is C. You're going to go to users. You're going to go to your computer name, which mine is David, obviously. Then you're going to find app data. Now, app data is going to be a hidden folder, so you're going to have to either go into properties to show hidden folders, or you can just go up here and type app data up here. But otherwise, that's how you get to app data. Then you're going to go to roaming. And after you go to roaming, you're going to scroll down and find the creative assembly. Okay, so after you find creative assembly, obviously you're going to go into whichever Total War game, because they'll all be listed there. I just have taken off all my other ones, but you go into the one that you want, and then you're going to go into scripts, and then you're going to have a preference file here. You're going to pull that up. Okay. Now this is real easy to find. You're just going to scroll all the way down past where you see the GFX files, and then you're going to come to the camera files, or I'm sorry, where they're at. Oh, they're not files. It's in the file. Anyways, you're going to come down here past camera speed. You're going to see default camera type. Okay, and this gives you all the different types that you can get. Total War is 0. Roam Total War is 1. And debug is 2. So if you want the debug camera or the unlimited camera, you're going to put a 2 right here, only right here where it's highlighted. This is the only place that you're going to change this. You're going to change it from a 0 to a 2. Okay, in my case I prefer it to be the regular, so that's all you're going to do. And then when you do that, you just go up here and you click save, and that's it. Okay, I don't want to save mine, but if you did, that's all you need to do to change to debug cam. Now, things to keep in mind: once you do change that, once you go into the game, you will have the debug in either campaign or in multiplayer. The big thing that you need to understand is if you change the settings at all in your game, it will take you back to the old cam. Okay? So you're going to have to go back in, so it would be wise for you to save this location on your desktop if it's something that you're going to want to use. That way you don't have to constantly go back and find this location. Just create a shortcut to it and put it on your desktop. Okay? So that's all pretty simple. Okay, so here's where I'm going to get into my review of the debug cam itself. Whether you should use it or not really is up to you and what your preferences are, but here's my opinion, and maybe you can get some input out of that. So first thing I'm going to tell you is the pros for it. The number one pro is that you can easily see what's going on in the battlefield. You can scroll down to see what's going on lower, but you can scroll up high like this and you can see the battlefield as an entirety, so you can see the deployments of your troops versus the deployments of your enemy's troops, and you can scroll over and see what units they have. Now, we'll tell you if there's any weather like rain or clouds or anything like that, it's going to be damn near impossible to get clear detail unless you're super eyesight. Let's go to a negative on it. A negative on it is that you can't see stakes because you're so far up. They're very hard to see. So a lot of times you will run your cav through stakes without knowing it until you hit it, and you start hearing the horses scream. And I know what you're thinking: if you can scroll down like this and get lower and have the ability to scroll high, why would you not be able to see the stakes? And the reason I can give you is most of the time when you're playing in a game, you're going to stay pretty high up because you have that ability, and you seem to lean on it as a crutch, at least for me. I mean, maybe not for you, but it seems to be that way for a lot of the players that I know. They stay up pretty high. They do scroll down, but not as far down as they probably should in order to see what's going on. Okay, so let's switch back to a positive. A positive is you can see the enemy's army easier. In other words, identify what units they have easier. It's easier to just move your mouse over. You got smaller distance to move your mouse over the flags to see what the units are, to be able to know where you should place your units. And that is a big advantage. Okay, so before we switch back to negatives, I want to cover another positive of the debug cam, is that you are able to move your troops much faster as an entirety. So let's say if you're moving units one at a time, it's a lot easier to do that with a lot more speed. As you can see here with this player, is moving a unit at a time. Got the space bar down so you can see some of the clicks, but you can see it's easier to get those individual units, be able to select them and move them around the battlefield faster. So that is a huge advantage. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back to a negative. A negative also is the speed. And you're going to be like, what? You just said that there's a big advantage to speed having the debug cam. That is true, but one of the problems is being able to select your units sometimes becomes difficult because you do get so far up. If you use the mouse to swipe your units, it's going to be difficult to get your units sometimes, because sometimes you swipe too many. Sometimes the placement of your units becomes difficult because you can't swipe them and place them down on the battlefield because there's a terrain feature that you don't necessarily see. This is why it becomes absolutely important, if you do use the debug cam, to be able to use your unit cards to select your units. And that is absolutely vital for you if you're using it, in my opinion. Okay, so the next negative kind of ties right into that, and that's not being able to see terrain features as well, because you're looking up from a high point. You're not seeing the dips and dives and little spots in the terrain. Now, if you're playing grassy flats, that's one thing, because there's really no transition in the field of play. So you're not going to have the disadvantages as you would on terrain maps like this. But again, if you are using the debug cam on the terrain map, if you dip down, you can see if you are not using the debug cam, you can see if you're going to be shooting the hill or if you're going to be shooting straight into a unit. So that is a big disadvantage for the debug cam, because it's hard to scroll down sometimes when you're that far up. It takes time. So there's one thing I want to address also in here, is a lot of the videos out there that talk about the debug camera say that in order to be one of the best players on multiplayer, you have to use the debug cam, or that's an advantage into becoming one of the best players in the game, is the ability to use the debug cam. And I actually strongly disagree with that, because I know several multiplayer players that do not use the debug cam and are some of the best in the game. And I myself have stopped using the debug camera in my competitive multiplayer battles, and I seem to be doing fine. Now I'm going to win some, I'm going to lose some, just like I did with when I did use the debug cam. A lot of that goes into my playstyle. I have a very aggressive, high-risk playstyle, but again, I feel like I have better control using the not using the debug camera. I want to be clear, not using debug camera, because you have situations like this where you don't notice that your units are shooting into the hill. As you can see, both of these units here firing back and forth, they're shooting at each other, but they're shooting into the hill. And it's another unit on the side that was killing off that Dutch unit while it routed, because it certainly wasn't that British unit on the left, because all of his shots were going into the hill, so wasting ammo, basically. So as for myself, who plays a lot of multiplayer competitive style games. I play with a lot of people that do use the debug cam, and I will tell you that I can stand head-to-head, toe-to-toe with them and win most of my battles. So you can take that as it is. So I'm going to sum this up. My preference is that I prefer not using the debug camera. And once again, I prefer not using it. And my reason being is that I find it better to be closer to my troops, where I can displace my units more strategically and see what's going on the battlefield a little bit better. Okay, once again, thank you everybody for joining along for this video, and I appreciate everybody's support. We will see you on the next one.